Okay, decimal place value. So when we're talking about place value, first, one thing that I like to do is I set myself up and remind myself of my place value. So I'm going to do this. Okay? I've got my decimal in the middle there. So if this, in front of the decimal, this is where the whole numbers are, correct? This right here would be the ones place. This right here would be the tens place. But once we get over here, this changes, and it changes in somewhat of a confusing way because the words are very similar. This right here, if I were to have this number, how could I write that as a decimal or as a fraction?
6 tenths.
It would be 6/10, right?
Yes.
So this isn't tens, this is tenth. The TH. Tenths. If I were to write 0.06, how would I write that?
6
6/100th. Hundredth. So the key here is to know your place value labels for each part. Now, this can continue. I could have hundreds over here, but I'm not going to focus on that right now. So if I were to look at this number, 1.64, the 1 is the ones place. No, if it were like 21, the 2 would be the tens place, but there's only one number here. So the 1 is in the ones place. The 6 is the tenths place, and the 4 is the hundredths place. Now, when we're dealing with decimals, one thing we need to learn is how to write it in expanded form. An expanded form literally is this. So 1.64 turns into 1 plus 0.6 plus 0.04. Because if I were to add 0.6, really 0.6 is like 0.60. And 60 plus 4 is 64. Okay? If I were to write this out in words, I would write 1 and 64 hundredths. Okay? So let's look at this first one at number 1. It says, write the expanded form for each number. So for number 1, it wants me to turn 3.91 into an expanded form. So that would become 3 plus 0.9 plus 0.01.
Oh, yeah.
For number 2, 6.87. Okay, that would turn into 6 plus 0.8 plus 0.07. I just have to look at each individual place. Okay, for 3 and 4, we're going to write the number in expanded, or we're going to write in expanded form, and then we're going to write it in the word form. I know it says to draw a grid, but I really don't want to do that. So for number 3, it says 1.06. That would be 1 plus 0.06. Written out, it would be 1 and 6 hundredths. For number 4, it says 2.36. Okay? That would be 2 plus 0.3 plus 0.06. Writing it out though, it would be 2 and 36 hundredths. If my numbers are always going to end in another number, 36, 87, 91, they will be written out with hundredths. The only time I would ever write something as tenths would be if I were to have or even if it were to look like that. Then that would be 1 and 9/10. That would be the only time you'd ever write it. Because would I say 2 and 30/10 and 6/100? No. That's reading it maybe as an expanded form, but as this, I'm reading it like this. Later on, when you're working on it, you might come across something that looks more like this. Let's say 22.36. If I were to write that in an expanded form, how would I do it? Yes?
20 plus 2
Yep.
plus 0.3 plus 0.06.
So each number has a place value. If I'm writing something in expanded form, that means I'm piecing it apart. I'm taking it apart, place value by place value. So 22 is basically 20 plus 2 plus 0.3 plus 0.06. Okay?
All right.
So now it's asking exercise 1, which was here, what digit is in the tenths place? Okay, so in the tenths place, what number is the tenths place? Tenths. In 3.91, which number is the tenths place?
The 1. Oh, 9.
The 9 is my tenths place, which is the hundredths place.
1.
The 1. So this is kind of wonky because it really is backwards. Usually we're used to seeing hundreds, tens, ones. And now we're kind of going tenths and hundredths. So it's a little confusing. You're going to feel a little thrown off by it. Okay? But really, this is the gist of it. You feel okay about it?
Yeah.
Good.